Okay, cool. So then on the general ledger side, I'm just going to stick to the document first. So on the ledger, you'll open up and you'll have the following. So transactions is your typical where we process day-to-day stuff. It's same with the rest of Genesis, debtors, creditors, whatever. That's where you process your stuff. Then the most important thing, part of the GL is your cashbook. Cashbook is basically any bank account or any petty cash account, whatever you want to control like a bank account. So money gets into it, money goes out of it. So we got two cash accounts. We got a safe that's normally got about 50,000 rand, for instance, inside, and that gets controlled with customers that pay us in cash, or if we purchase something big, that money gets controlled in there. Then we got a smaller one, which is a petty cash. That's normally like a small money box lying on the table. So somebody's going to go to a stationery shop or buying bread and milk and so on. So we control both of those as like a bank account, also as a cash book. So if you take money out, it gets as a payment out, or money gets deposited in, it goes money in, and we control it as a bank account, as I mentioned. Master files, that's basically where you set up your GL. Enquiries is where you quickly drill down into a GL account or into a trace file, a trace number. A trace number is basically anything posting to a GL has to balance. So all the debits, all the credits has to, if you add them up together, must balance. It must get to a zero. So all the pluses, all the minuses of a transaction must balance to zero, because that's why it's a balance sheet. And that's basically each transaction that's got these different legs. It's got a trace number, and the trace number is unique to every transaction that posts. So before I go, and then the last thing is the reports, basically. So before I step in here, I just want to, and this is where I have to be careful with GL. So a GL basically is where your entire bookkeeping gets brought together. So the GL stands on 4 legs. Now we talk about the sub ledgers. So the sub ledger is basically your debtors, which you sell to, your creditors, where you purchase from, your actual stock that you got, and then your bank. So those 4 legs is what posts automatically into your GL. So if you do a GRV, you purchase stock, it will automatically post straight into your GL. If you do a sale, it will automatically post into your GL to the different legs where it's supposed to go. Same with stock. If you do anything, if you do a stock adjustment or you do anything with stock, it will then post into the GL. And the same with the cash book. If you do a payment out to electricity or whatever, it will post to the GL. And the GL will then show, there's 2 places. The income statement will show your sales for the month and your expenses, and then you'll see if there's a profit. And then the other end is a balance sheet, is basically where it controls not your monthly profit side, but more the bank accounts, who owes you money, who you owe money to, what if you got vehicles, what you still own your vehicles, all the non-cash side of the business, the more the liabilities and the asset side of the business. So to set it up basically is the master file. So I'm not going to take this thing from top down. I'm going to do it as a logical sense. So the first thing that's important is your categories. So you have to group basically your GL accounts together. As I mentioned, there's 4 main areas. So you'll have, in a normal business, you've got assets and liabilities, and on your income side, you've got income, which is your sale, and your expenses. So what we do is we added these 2. So cost of sales is basically part of your, expenses, income. So basically your income less your cost of sales less your expenditure will then give you a profit. And then if you've got other income, a lot of people talk about above the line and below the line. So other income and stuff that you don't see in your normal GP reports. So if I buy a thing for $100 and I sell it for, I buy it for $80, I sell it for $100, I made 20 Rand. But if the supplier gives me something extra on that's below the line, which is other income, so I could, instead of making 20 Rand, actually make 25 Rand, for instance, we've got a rebate or a kickback later on. So that's other income basically. So your normal reports that you got daily will show you your GP, but then the other income will come and show you the actual profit. So these are the main groups. So whenever you create something, it'll have to fit in one of these groups, and these groups will then determine if it's an asset and liability, it will be in the balance sheet. If it's an income expense of one of these 4, it'll be in your income statement. Okay, so inside here, I've got the different categories. So we'll have bank accounts, cash on hand, clearing, debtors, creditors, and if I show you quickly, here's for instance the categories that we by default set up. So you'll have assets, you'll have the bank accounts, clearing accounts, debtors, the investment, share, capital, so on. Expenses, you'll have your normal adjustments, cost of sales stuff, occupancy, and so on. Income will have all your sales stuff, and then liabilities will be everything but loans and credit and people you owe money to, VAT and tax and so on. So that's the grouping. And then once you've got your grouping set up, your category set up, so once these categories are set up, then you have to set up your GL accounts. So the GL accounts get set up here. We standardize in a 4-digit number, but you could change it. But changing it is a little bit more complex because instead of just having it here, the system is set up to know where to post to. So we got 3, 4, 5 places. Then we got claims, we got rebates, and all those. And then we got suppliers that need to know, like Tshwane will need to know it's a municipality account as opposed to this GL account. So all those numbers are already hard-coded in the system, and it's a little bit scrambled around. So you have to, if you want to change the number structure, you have to be careful. We have to assist you with finding all the places where we actually configure GL account numbers because they get kind of hidden away sometimes. But for the reason why we went with 4 digits, it gives you enough scope to have enough GL accounts. You don't want to run your business out of your income statement, but it must be able to give you a good enough example. I'll take you through our income statement. So you can see more or less how many breakdowns you can do with 10,000. So 4 digits gives you 10,000 accounts, which is quite a lot. You don't want to drill down more than that in the business. Then we got a standard set of VAT codes. So we got 0 rated, which is a 0%. So your typical eggs and flour and so on. Then we got standard 15% VAT. And then we got custom rate. Now custom rate gets used if it's a mixed masala. So for instance, if you get bank accounts or banking or you got tax and so on, not all the stuff can be claimed from VAT. So certain amounts you can claim from VAT, certain amounts you can't claim from VAT. So it will end up to be a 10% VAT instead of a 15% VAT. So what we do is we do a custom VAT, okay? Then you can split them. Let's say it's 1,000 Rand, which 800 bucks was vetted and the other 200 bucks wasn't vetted. You can post that 1,000 Rand at a 13% VAT rate. So that's just it's just a little bit neater than splitting them out to say, okay, the 800 bucks is vetted 15%, and then capture another line to say the 200 bucks is 0 rate VAT. Then the total, if you add it up, the system will say, it's not 15%, so I'm not happy with it. So that's just one way for us to get around it. Okay, then the next thing is these 3 buttons. So allow VAT posting mean if I create an account here, let's say you get you can take a customer for lunch, and you can buy food for your staff at the office. Now the one, it's basically the same thing, but the one is you're allowed to claim the VAT, the other one you're not allowed to claim the VAT. So then when you create that account, you can say allow VAT, you can switch it to no, and then you won't be able to claim VAT for any postings you do in that account. The next one is allow journals. So allow journals means that you can do a journal on that account. The journals when you actually want to move money from one GL account to another GL account. So if you want to capture an entry, now that's normally switched off when it gets to a control account. And depends on how you manage your business, you can switch it off to most accounts. So let's say, for instance, electricity, for it to go in, must come in through an invoice. So somebody must capture an invoice, that'll put it in there, and when I do a payment, it'll take the money out and it'll show it. So I don't want to put journals on my electricity account because then people start making mistakes. So you can go to that level where you actually switch it off. But that's very, very time consuming and very detailed, but it's possible. Then the last one is control account. So control account is basically your mirror account of your 4 legs, your sub ledgers. So your stock will be a control account. So meaning that you don't actually post into those accounts. The sub ledger, the debtors or the creditors or the bank will only post into that account. You don't post into that account. So that's a control account. Because what will happen is, if let's say, if you guys are familiar with your debtors control account, so your debtor control is basically everything you sell. So if I sold 100 bucks, my debtor control account will show 100 bucks, and the system will expect somebody has to pay me 100 bucks. Now, if you can go do a journal into that account for 10 Rand, the system, the GL is going to think somebody owes you 90 bucks, but now you print the age analysis on the debtor side, and it shows 100 bucks. And now that 100 bucks and this 90 bucks doesn't marry each other. And that's the first like SARS will then pick up and say, hey, what's going on in this accounting? Is a funny trade happening here? So your control account is only supposed to handle the sub-ledger posting into it. And again, I'm talking from my own experience in GL and so on, as in posting of systems. I'm not an accountant. I haven't been trained or went through courses to do accounting side. So the next thing to set up, so now we've done the category, we've done the GL accounts. So next one to do is the bank master. The bank master, you will set up basically all your banks. So these guys got an abstract account and they got a petty cash account and a control. And then here's the GL numbers that you link to each of those accounts. So the moment I post something out of my AppSite, the system will know to use a 4500, which is our default bank account. And you can have, like in our case, each of our employees got a credit card, and each credit card is listed as a bank account and has to get reconciled every month. So you can have up to 20, 30, 40 unlimited in here. Okay. This is how to set it up. Okay, and then I'm going to jump a few of these. The last one that's important, your GL calendar, to say your financial year 2022 starts from March to February next year, basically. And it's normally, this is the standard that accounting principles used. Okay, so that is the setup. I want to show you something, but this is higher level, and it'll, over time you'll get familiar with that. Is that this so cashbook, we'll get back to that now. Cost centers we actually don't even use anymore. Bank statement import, that's where you set up when you import bank statement, that's a once-off. I won't go into that now. So this one is kind of important to know of, but never ever try and change anything in here because it can create havoc. And if I go in here, I'm just going to show you an example. And this, I know Pastel's got it, IQ's got it, everything's got it. If you start sketching around, you'll find it. So this will tell me, if I go to sales, so sales is point of sale, and I want to go look at a cash sale. So if I go here, this is cash sales. If I click here, now the system will tell me what GL accounts gets updated with what amount. That doesn't work. Okay. So 3500 is my stock on hand. So that's basically my mirror image of, if I go to stock and I say print stock valuation, the system will say you got 10,000 Rand of stock on hand. If I then go to my balance sheet and I print the balance sheet, the system will show you my stock on hand is 10,000 Rand. So these two must mirror each other. So this is obviously a control account. Okay. So whenever I sell any stock, now let's say I sell $100 of stock, the system wants to know what was the cost of that item. Yes, the cost was $80. It will come to this account and will minus $80 from this because the stock is out, basically. If I then receive stock, I will then come and add the $80 here. Cash on hand means that I sold this thing for $100, so the money, the inclusive $100 must now come into my cash on hand. So I'm expecting that money at the end of the day, the cashier must give me that money. Okay, SARS wants that piece, so their 15% will be captured here. If it's a non-vetted, sorry, so there's a sales number. So what we do normally in supermarket, we split the sales accounts into vetted stuff and non-vetted stuff. So the exempt and the exclusive for them post separately. And that's purely for them because of the amount of eggs, flours, and so on, that they try and split their business meat and so on, that they don't show, they don't mix. So they can go to this sale account and know there is 15% of that is VAT, and this one, the full amount is not VAT. And then this will be your cost of sales, which is also your $80. So if you look at this type of scenario, this thing must balance at the end of the day. But this is just the configuration of a GL posting. So each of these basically will then be a GL trace. So the moment I do one cash out, it will kick all these legs, and let's say all these 100 and whatever bucks will end up this side, and the debit and the credit will balance out. And I'll go to one of these examples just now. But this is where you actually set up the posting. And if you go through it, there's hundreds of them. If I go to stock, for instance, you'll see if we do a stock adjustment. So if you only see one leg, that means the system will apply the second leg. So in this case, if you do a stock adjustment, remember I said there's sometimes a lot of stock lying around at different places. So if I just quickly go and show you on the stock. So we got stock adjustment, the reasons. So we got these reasons, say that it was 8 times of damage, it was free stock, at whatever. So here's the GL account. So the system will take, if I take it's a pallet rack, it'll go to 6704. And if I go here to GL, if the posting happens, it will take it out of my stock, 3500, my stock on hand, and will put the other leg into that account that I saw in the adjustment reason. So that'll feed me the second leg, the other leg, missing leg. Same go with most of these stuff. The other leg will be supplied from the sub ledger. So I'm not going to go too much detail in here. Just understand it, know it's the year. We do have a customer now and then that wants to do stuff differently, but this is quite crucial. If I delete one of these lines out, if I go to this line, I delete it out, the sale will stop. That won't process it because the system checks that it balances. So you can come in here and screw up the whole system. And this is not fully partial controlled. We don't basically, it's a bit of a shortcoming at the moment. We need to try and get this more controlled. Okay, so that's basically the setup side. The bank statement side, that's got the rules and stuff that needs to configure for each type of bank account. You got what columns, what fields, whatever file you do. We currently do not do an online integrated bank statement. We only do an CSV import. So basically what you do is with, let's say with FNB, you will set it up and every morning it'll send you a mail of the last 3 or 5 days transactions. You'll import it every morning and the system will pick up what's new and then it'll give you a list so you can post it. I'll show you guys that just in a few minutes. Okay, so that covers basically the setup. Before I go to transaction, let me go to transactions. Okay, so there's only 3. This one makes us different to other accounting systems. So the take on. So normally you would do a take on the very first day you go live on the system and never ever again in your entire life. It will always work from that take on figures. In our case, we actually allow you to do a take on every year. So you can do the start. So in our case, we get audited figures from the accountant and the audited figures get captured. So if somebody by mistake or on purpose go back and go and screw up numbers of last year, even though they don't have the rights and you can block their rights and so on, but people get around it and they do something and they go screw up last year's number, the system will pick up when last was their take on and they'll work the figures out from that take on date. There's a way to get past it. So if you want to do it the old way, the IQ way, the pastel way, you'll do a capture back 5 years ago in the beginning when you went live with Genesis, and it will always work from that figure onwards. So it will say what was my bank statement of that date plus all the debits plus all the credits and giving them the statement at the moment. Or you can say, you know, from every year. So these guys, so the beginning of the end of February, they haven't captured, or the beginning of March, they haven't captured anything. But if I go 1 year back, they got figures captured. So now the system will always go from this date, 2021-02, it will take that figure as their opening and it will work from there on. So if anything goes wrong or anything gets posted or gets corrected or whatever, it will ignore it because it'll work with the figures that was audited by SARS and by your accountant. And that stops you from every year that you want to go to the accountant, you drop the figures out and now the accountant says, hey, but your numbers are different to my numbers. It's not accepted, something went wrong, they're supposed to do an audit. This way we eliminate that. Does that make sense? Has anybody got a question on that? Okay, then the next one is basically, before I go further, is the sales journal posting. So remember when I was on the cash office, I said that this figures get pulled into the GL. Now that we don't post it automatically, and the reason why I'm not sure, we actually bring it. So if you come here, you'll see, oh, okay. So the last, ignore those first ones. So from basically here onwards, 18, is it will bring it into this screen here. And then this is normally a different person to the cash up person. So the person that did the cash up is in the cash office, they balance the cash, they close off, they close the day. Once they're done, this normally goes to a higher level person. So that'll be the accounting lady that comes in once a month or once a week. And she'll come here and now she opens this up. She says, shows me all the day ends that was not posted yet. They will come in here and now she'll see data payments. This is cash taken at the top points for that day. So you can see what was clearing accounts, what's advertising. Remember that payouts that we captured. There was airtime flash, airtime sales, whatever. And then all she does is she presses enter. I will bring it up and she presses F10 to post it. So if she's happy with it, she'll go into F10, into F10, into F10, into F10, and she's done. So it actually goes quite quick, but if you leave it for like a month or 6, then it takes a bit longer. But so this will show me all the cash outs. That'll be the cash returns. All this is all the captures. But let me stick the cash outs. If I then look at the posting, so if I click on it, there's a different view of posting, and just control enter. I think it only shows once it's posted. No, there it comes. Okay, cool. So this is a different type of screen or look, but it'll give you the figure. So it'll give you those. Let me just try and move it down. Try to move that one up. So that's at 448.884, 448.884, somewhere here, there. And then the including amount, excluding amount, the VAT and so on. And this is the lady that said it, the cash out. So if I post that, that'll go into the GL. So let me just find one. I can show you what it looks like. Let me go back to the 18th, and then the 18th was closed. Okay, so once it's posted, it will look like this. So I'll then go into cash sales. Well, no, sorry, I'm lying. Okay, yeah, cool. So now it looks different. Now it's got a GL trace number, and it shows me, remember that legs I showed you when we were on the cash office? We were showing that 3500 is going to take the excluding amount, cash on hand is going to take the cash that I'm expecting, it's including. Here's the VAT portion, this is sales, VATed, non-VATed, and here's my cost of sales. This, you'll see now, your debit and your credit is balanced to each other to be able to make sure that this GL balances, this entry, and this is your GL trace number. So each entry that gets kicked from here, or from your debtors, or from your creditors, or from your stock, or from your bank cash book, gets posted into the GL, and will look something like this. It'll have a debits and credits that balances. I'm going to close off with this. It's quite simple in theory. All you do is you can't really do anything. You can just enter it, view it, post it. That's all you can do. You can't really change anything now. It's just to be aware. And they normally do it to make sure they got the paperwork. So they go here and say, it's salaries. Okay, let me enter for salaries. Okay, it's $1,700. Okay, let me find out who was it for. No, it's written in the book. I'm happy. Okay, shop. I can post it. If it's not written, then the person can go find out who the hell was it for, what was the story, and something like that. Okay, cool. 100%. I'm happy with it, and I can post it. That's basically the aim. Before it goes to your GL, your accountant lady is responsible, and she must be aware of it. The last thing here is a normal journal. So as I said, the journal's the shittest thing in the system. So that's basically moving money from one GL account to another GL account. So in theory, it's not supposed to happen. Everything gets posted automatically from a sub ledger, but it does happen that a guy bought from you, but the guy also owes from you. So now you want to offset from his account to his account, or somebody put the rent through, and I'll explain that later, to the wrong GL account. Now you have to move it. It's not a fixed asset. It must go to rental or whatever. You want to move money around. So now you would come in here, they'll put you in your story, why, and maybe a reference. Normally a reference is that people's got a book. The best customer I saw is they got a hard, the black with the red, those hard books. And yeah, if you want to do a journal, you have to write it out, why and whatever. Then they'll capture the journal and he'll come and authorize it. So basically what you do is you'll have to insert 2 lines. So you'll choose your GL account. So let's say I go 6001. Oops, see. So this account doesn't allow journals because it gets fed from the sub ledger. So the system will block me. So then I have to go to an expense account. So that's 74. So advertising, take 1,000 rand from advertising. $100, sorry. I'm not going to use that. Okay, I'm going to save that. I'm going to add another line. I'm going to put this 100 rand, I'm going to put it to 7401. So I'm taking it from advertising, I'm giving it to entertainment, and now I have to put it as a credit on the back. Let's say I'm going to put that now. So now the debits and the credits on this balance, and there's the VAT amount basically that it's going to claim from this $100. So if I post it, it'll put this entry into the GL. I'm not obviously not going to post it now in the live system. So that's just the journal. I'm not sure if you guys are used to this, but most of the guys will know. So before I go to cashbook, I'm just going to go to inquiries now. So inquiries got two options. The one is a GL account, so that's easy. I want to look at advertising, so 7400, enter. I always leave the stuff on 1 month. So I go enter. Then I can see all the postings that happened for this month. So I started off at 297, all the debits, now it's on 315. If I want to see, this is now September. If I want to see the postings of the previous month, I can go one left, control left. I see all the entries in there, go control left, see the next entries here. And it's easier for me to view month by month. It makes sense then doing it this way, where you can say, I want from 1 month to from July to this, and you can see it. Now, if you've got a dead account, let's say your alarm system or whatever, then you can do it for the entire year because it'll be supposed to have 1 entry per month. But if it's an account like this, that's quite busy, you don't want to do it for the whole year because it's just too much. What's the beauty is you can anyway, let's say bank statement. If I was doing the bank statement 4500, okay, I'm going to do for July and for September only. So here's my bank statement. If I want to drop this bank statement to Excel, I'll just hit the Excel button. And there's my statement in Excel. And then now you can, we add extra columns, so we keep the document number that was posted. And now here's a good example. If you want to see the legs, basically, you can't see, you only see the bank side. But you'll see the trace number, GL trace number is where? Yeah. So now we want to see, let's go through and we're going to see something. What the hell is this difference? Now we query this, so we take this number, go back to Genesis. Now the other option under inquiries is a trace number. So now I go in here, I say here's the trace number that I'm worried about. I can see, just from this bank account into, that was a telephone and faxing, that money was paid out. Okay. Another option is if I'm on this or something similar. Yeah, the same account. Now I want to see what the hell was that for, and I can say view the postings, and it'll show me the same story, the same trace number. Just different ways of seeing it. Now there's some, over the past we experienced a lot of systems, and one of the systems was SAP Business One. And what made them nice is they had a feature that if I posted this thing, let's say to telephone and fax, this payment of 1,500 bucks to telephone and fax, but it's actually not supposed to be telephone and fax. I made a mistake. Now the accountant lady comes in, she does a journal from telephone and fax to the right account, and now she makes another mistake. She took VAT. She was not supposed to do VAT, and now she reversed the VAT, and eventually it becomes a groot gemors. It's absolutely everywhere and nowhere. So you can come to this mistake, and you can say, I can reverse this entire thing. It'll put a reversal in front. I can see one here, the back. I'll have the word reverse in front like that. So if this payment was done incorrectly, they'll come here, they'll say reverse entry, and we'll put the same entry there, and it'll reverse the transaction. Or the other one is what we stole from SAP, is that you can come in here, you can say update account, and it was telephone and fax, but now I want to change it to something else. It doesn't be telephone and fax, I want to make it 76. I actually wanted to be, what was it, 76. That was telephone and fax. I want to make it something else. Whatever. Courier. And I can just hit enter. And if I say update, it will actually change it so it doesn't go to 7613 anymore. It'll be 7610. Cancel. But you do have an audit trail. So if somebody ever comes back and says, what the hell happened here? There's an audit trail to see who moved it. And now it becomes a lot cleaner GL account when you start looking at it and money moving up and down, and you start chasing nothing, basically. Okay, so that's just a quick note on that one. And then the last thing left here is the cashbook. So the cashbook has got a lot of buttons. Nobody, or I'm not aware of anybody using any of these buttons. Okay, the only one we actually use is the top one, which is your transactions. This is when you capture something on the bank. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to choose the bank account. So in this case, I'm going to use APSA, this one. System knows that the main APSA account is 4500. If I use a different account, it'll change the GL account number to whatever. So if I stick to APSA 4500, then here I've got different reasons, and these reasons you can set up. So that's one I skipped earlier on, is this cashbook transaction types. So if I just click on there, it'll show you basically things to make it easier for you, the lady that captures the bank statements. So she can come here and chooses the deposit, or it's a check payment, or a check deposit, or whatever. Then the system will know, must it be a debit or must it be a credit, and must it use VAT, it mustn't use VAT. In our system at MRJ, we only use these to control in, control out. And to me, it's a lot simpler. So I say money in the account or money out the account. So the money goes out of the account, it's going to be a credit, and I allow VAT. Or money coming into the account, it's a debit, and I allow VAT to it. So you can choose when you capture, do you want to take VAT or not, and not get the system to dictate. So in our case, I'm going to say there's money going out, so I'm going to go control out, control. So this is money going out. The system already knows it's going to be a credit, so it doesn't even allow me to choose a debit or a credit. It knows it's going to be a credit. I choose a date, I put a reference in the story, and I can put the amount here. 1, enter. System by default will take VAT. If I don't want VAT, I can change it off. Oh, sorry, because it was already in the field. Because it was already in this GL account field, it doesn't allow me to go out before I choose a GL account. So let me go back there. So now I change the VAT to be 0. So now the system will take this full amount as non-VAT. And then here, I was in this field earlier on and I wanted to go out. It doesn't allow 0. It will force you to choose a number when you're here. So this is then where it's going to post it. So I'm going to say, this is actually my airtime or whatever, stop command, whatever. It's not, you're not supposed to post there. But anyway, it will then add the lines here. So what you see now is the more I change here, as I add stuff, it will add it here with the same amount. So in theory, you're supposed to have only one line here, and then you post it. You can have split where I say, okay, this is 1150. I want to make this one 300 bucks. And I want to make this one a different amount, 200 bucks, and the balance in the next line. And it will only post once these two balances are together, that 1650 and that one balances. Otherwise, it won't post. So that's why we insert with the delete lines here at the bottom. So you can, and each of these are a bank line that you capture. Does it make sense? Question there? So the other one that and I'm going to jump to MRJ's business. So if you go to cashbook, you go import bank statement, you'll see every day's bank statement here basically loaded. 27, so there's a few days behind. So if I go to today's statement, I click on here, these are all the lines are green, it's new lines. So once I post it, they'll change to green. So you'll basically import the statement, the system is set up to import it, it'll show you what your balance is. And then you can go in there, this is a customer payment. So if I just go there to data posting, it will bring up who the customer is, it'll show me the invoices I can allocate. So this one's already captured, so there's nothing outstanding, but allow you to capture it to an invoice. I can click the invoice and say post payment. Let's see if this one is also up to date. Okay, so there's 2 more invoices outstanding on this customer. And same goes with the supplier. So if I see any suppliers there, here's the supplier. So I go the supplier posting, it will show you, and then I can allocate it. This is an open item. This is a balance forward, so it doesn't allow me to do an open item on this account. So basically, and then any expenses, you can capture expenses here. So this is a GL account, so that was a cashbook posting. So then same screen, it will populate all the fields for you. And that's how we basically capture your cashbook posting. Okay, so the last piece left is basically the reporting. Now, the reporting, I'm not going to go in and show each one of you. There's trial balance, income statement, balance sheet. Those are the more important ones. At the end of the year, they want you to print out the general ledger, which is like 7,000 pages long. I don't know why they want it, but accountants want it. and you can use the supports, and each one's got a different look and feel and layout and options. So if I go to income statement, there's options, and you have to play around and see which option and how you want it and so on. I want to show you something that we use we build a spreadsheet, and with Genesis, because Genesis is a SQL based, we can actually connect into the database. So we normally put a sheet called control, and we put the settings in here. So if I click which database I want to connect to, I hit this button, it will then connect to the database and do a refresh. And because it's Excel, it can come back. So then I've got a typical example of a balance sheet. So it will come in and it will populate all the fields straight out of Genesis into my balance sheet. And then I have an income statement. So the income statement, I can have my sales, my cost of sales, and my profit. And it can show basically all my sales, cost of sales, and I have a net profit, a gross profit, all my expenses, all my salary expenses, all my electricity, and so on. And do I get to the profit at the bottom? So I'm not hanging around, so you can see a lot of figures. But I mean, for example, if I just and then what we do is, this is the Excel spreadsheet. So if I want to query a figure, let's say, why the hell did King of travel 25,000 Rand this month? What the hell was he doing? Well, here's a good example, this orange one. Is why is there's no expenses, all of a sudden 80,000 Rand. I can actually go onto the system, click on that field, go up in my Excel spreadsheet, hit this button, it connects into Genesis, it comes back and says, okay, so what make it up? And I can see it's in bucket data, which is our development software license fee. And I can see why this expense was there. And same goes with sales. So if I'm on a sale item and say, what have we sold for 112,000 Rand this month? I can click this stock and it'll bring up and say, what was all the stock that I sold posted into my ledger? And that's just one of the examples of that we connect with Excel into Genesis, and we can pull out information to a spreadsheet or from a spreadsheet. Okay, so that is I want to close it off. That is basically it for my training. I'm not sure if there was any questions on it, or is there more questions? That gives you more or less a high level of the cash off and the GL. Any questions from you guys?
Calista, do you have any questions from your side?
So far, so good. I can see that the majority of the questions that I had on IQ are being answered on Genesis, which is a positive note.
In regards to the process flow, in regards to the current process in which you do the GL transactions, the process regarding that?
So far, nothing that is out of the ordinary. Still in line.
I went very high level, just to give you a look and feel. If you, I mean, it's too much information as a training. But I mean, as you go live with the customer, we'll sit together and we'll go into detail more precise, more accurate.
Maybe just one question, which was not clearly explained, like on the use of control accounts, because in some instances, if someone posts a transaction directly into a control account, which is supposed to come from the sub-ledger, then our sub-ledger balance will not be in balance with our 100%. Control account. So Genesis, what is the control that we have to avoid such scenarios where I have a data's control balance that is not equal to my data stage analysis?
Okay, so we gotta go. So Ursula is the master on that, because we had a customer called Kitchenik. I'm going to name it because I know they went to IQ. Good for them. And she was the master of this. So she had access to this, and she could switch off the control accounts and force balance the books. Okay, but then every time they print the statement and it goes to the accountant, the balance, so on the accounting side, you'll have. Let me get that spreadsheet back open. Let me. So if I go to balance sheet, then I look for creditors control. So creditors control sitting on 415378. So if I go to Genesis, Now, if I run a report, I go creators, let's say give me age analysis. So this one sits on 490, which is a mistake. So there's a good example already. So 419 and 418. So these two are supposed to mirror each other. There mustn't be any differences in where they're going now. So this 490 said that they posted some. Oh, you know what? Okay. So my report is 490. Let's say my spreadsheet's out of date. So let me just go here quickly. I'm using the spreadsheet, the balance sheet, but I can actually run a report. So this is just a quick example. I click. So our database is sitting in Azure. So there's a link to Azure, and then this spreadsheet connects into Azure and refreshes the data, and it takes about 30 seconds if it's that long. 10 seconds. It's busy running on tab 3. So it builds all these tabs at the bottom. I've almost done. Come. Okay. So if I then go to balance sheet, 5,000 is sitting on 489.326. And my report is on 490. So maybe there's something that I posted in the meantime.